Dead or alive, you are coming with me.
When you think of RoboCop, you think of a one-man tank, a heavily armed and armored dealer of justice who patrols the streets of Detroit while walking really slowly. Honestly, it's a surprise he ever makes it to the scene of a crime on time, given the pace he ambles along. It's even more of a surprise that RoboCop's methodical movement from the movies has made it into Rogue City, which is a first-person shooter, a genre traditionally dominated by games where speed and agility are key. To find out more about how RoboCop's tanky movements have been adapted to suit a video game, we spoke to RoboCop Rogue City's game director, Piotr Latocha, to discuss how Teyon has designed an FPS that walks when others run.
Drop the gun, you are under arrest.
RoboCop's slow and precise movements are two crucial parts of his identity, so it was always the plan to make that an important part of the game. However, it meant rethinking the way the developer approached making a first-person shooter.
This was one of the biggest design challenges actually, to get that slow and heavy character into the game. He's kind of slow and tankish. We need to, be true to the lore, but also we cannot be like super slow and super heavy. How to make this character interesting so the combat is fluent. That was, I think, the biggest challenge.
As such, much of the movement and agility you see in other shooters simply isn't in Rogue City, and you'll need to rethink how you play an FPS when you play RoboCop for the first time.
He cannot do stealth or crouch. He can do all other things that are cool with this character. So for example, breaching walls, throwing heavy enemies. So there's a lot of stuff that the heavy character can do. But also you have a skill tree where you unlock some skills that are actually, some of them are active, and you can use some of them to expand on the gameplay as well.
Skill points are earned by completing quests and scanning objects scattered around Detroit as you work through the story, and can be spent upgrading RoboCop's many abilities. Rogue City bridges the gap between RoboCop 2 and 3, so RoboCop is already an established member of the Detroit Police Department and is kitted out with several abilities available from the outset. Some are lifted straight from the films, such as aiming down sights to scan and pinpoint the whereabouts of nearby hostiles, but there are others that have been introduced for the game. There's slow motion, which obviously slows down time for a few seconds, giving you the edge when it comes to aiming at enemies. There's dash too, which gives a temporary speed boost, although still feels very much in keeping with the slow pace of the action.
Not running, but moving faster. So if you move faster into the enemies, they fall down. You can also use it to your advantage that they are knocked down. They're not dead, but knocked down. Then you can finish them off.
There are other abilities too.
Shockwave works basically like a police flashbang, so you can stun the enemies, but at the end, if you upgrade it till the very end, it's deadly actually. So if you stun the enemies, they will fall down dead.
While some of these abilities stray from RoboCop's original blueprint in the movies, they don't feel out of place for the souped-up cyborg. One element that's completely authentic to the movies is RoboCop's Auto 9 machine pistol, which he uses throughout the story. It's a powerful weapon, even at the beginning, but there are plenty of upgrades to unlock as you progress.
It was actually one of the challenges because we wanted to keep the player using that Auto 9 because it's the iconic weapon, it's something that RoboCop does, so he uses it a lot.
This guy is really good.
So it needs to be fun, it needs to feel powerful. We also used an upgrade system to upgrade the Auto 9, so as the game proceeds, you can make it stronger and stronger.
Examples of Auto 9 upgrades include reducing the recoil so it's more accurate, switching from burst fire to full auto, and explosive bullets. But even in its original setup, the Auto 9 has a large magazine and infinite ammo, so it makes light work of the enemies during the opening levels of the game. But there is an element of strategy, despite its power.
When you run out of ammo, you need to reload or just, run into the guys and punch them.
And when RoboCop's punch can smash through skulls, it's a pretty handy backup if the ammo counter clicks 0. There will also be times when an alternate weapon makes more sense.
We wanted to give some variety, so we have some sidearms that you can use, but you cannot carry them from level to level or from chapter to chapter, but you can just pick them up, play with them, use them in different situations.
Despite this focus on aggression, developer Teyon always wanted RoboCop Rogue City to be more than just another FPS.
This was actually really important to us, that it's not only an FPS shooter, but it's much more than that, and we wanted to build on the RPG elements, so for example like dialogue choices, dialogue trees, and those skills actually help you to solve some things in different ways. Psychology sometimes lets you talk someone to do something without using violence, or you can use skills like, for example, engineering can help you to also unlock a dialogue option that will help you talk out someone to do something.
It seems there is still a man behind the mask then, and that RoboCop Rogue City will require you to use your brains as much as the trigger finger. Well, almost.
You need to be taught some manners.
If you like this video, check out our RoboCop Rogue City hands-on preview or the game's latest trailer.